Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have increased the exploitation of non-renewable sources like coal, oil, and uranium. Such exploitation has allowed the global society to progress quickly in the technological and economical field. Since 70s we started to think that these sources may eventually run out, as the global demand for energy is based on 80% to the exploitation of non-renewable sources of energy. These energies are running out, and the effect will be an increase in the price of energy resources and an increasing restriction of their use. The extreme consequences in continuing to use such sources of energy production until they are completely exhausted will cause paralysis of the current productive global system. Another problem related to the use of non-renewable sources, such as fossil fuels, has caused a progressive increase in CO2 emissions in Earth's atmosphere, increasing the greenhouse effect that regulates the temperature on our planet. Global warming is causing the melting of glaciers and desertification in the temperate zones of the world. Besides this, the depletion of fossil fuels is the main cause of air pollution in the contemporary world. The research have to find alternative energy sources to replace fossil fuels and uranium as soon as possible. At the same time, looking for the exploitation of alternative energy. There is the disclosure to the world population of these future changes. The individual must be informed and major decision-making power in his choice of lifestyle, and be aware that his choices on energy from now and then will be of vital importance not only for him but for the whole world population. The global objective is to limit the waste of energy. If all that was quickly perceived by the world's social conscience, the social economic transformation would be effective. So, a special place in energy production is for the nuclear power and renewable energies. Nuclear energy starts with the discoveries of important physicians, which are Nobel Prizes for physics, as Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen for discovering X-rays, Antoine Becquerel and Marie and Pierre Curie's studies on radioactivity, Albert Einstein and the theory of relativity, from which the formula E equals mass times the speed of light squared, formula at the base of nuclear energy. Enrico Fermi, that discovered the nuclear reactions induced by slow neutrons. Nuclear energy is used in several ways: to generate energy through nuclear power plants, for military purposes, and in medicine for diagnostic, therapeutic, and research. Taking into consideration the power generation, nuclear plants are divided into 4 generations. The first are the first prototypes of reactors, which are rarely put into operation, as Chernobyl power plant. The second generation is composed of reactors greatly improved, which are those most in use, as the nuclear power plant of Fukushima. The third generation is based on the evolution of these models. These 3 generations use the method of nuclear fission, which consists in the rupture of the nucleus of an atom in 2 parts. whose masses added together do not reach the original mass. The missing mass is converted into energy. The fourth generation reactors are still developing, and this one, unlike previous generations, should introduce marked differences in technologies and materials using the method of nuclear fusion. Fusion is the kind of reaction that occurs in stars. In this case, two light atomic nuclei fuse and form a third mass, whose masses added together do not reach the original mass. The missing mass is converted, also in this case, into energy. This mechanism would allow to produce large amounts of energy in a more safe and eco-friendly way, due to the lack of radioactive waste produced. However, this mechanism has only been reproduced experimentally. The fusion comes only at very high temperatures, and there aren't adequate materials available to man capable of bearing this temperature. As regards the operation of a nuclear power plant, the heat developed by the fission reaction in the reactor is transferred via a cooling fluid to a flow of water that generates saturated steam. The steam powers a turbine that produces power to a generator that will power the electrical grid. Renewable energies are those that derive from sources that are regenerated with the same speed with which they are consumed and are not exhaustible. These are the oldest sources of energy. Among them, we can see the force of water, sun, wind, and heat of the Earth's core. Hydropower is used to produce electricity by exploding the movement of large masses of falling water. In fact, in this way, water produces kinetic energy through a turbine and an alternator, which is converted into power. The solar thermal panel is used for the production of hot water. It is a device which converts solar radiation into thermal energy. The solar panel is composed of a panel that receives the solar energy by a heat exchanger where a vector fluid circulates. This fluid is used to transfer energy to the storage tank. In this system, the vector fluid, being heated in the solar panel, expands and becomes lighter, thus shifted towards the heat exchanger, which is placed higher than the solar panel, yielding its heat to the domestic water which is located in the tank. Photovoltaic panels convert sunlight directly into electrical energy, so they are active during daylight. The photovoltaic panels are composed of cells in silicon which, irradiated by sunlight, produce a direct current which is then converted into alternating current and of a proper voltage for direct use by an inverter. This type of panel is often placed on the roof of a house or directly in the roof in the form of tiles or on the ground as in the photovoltaic fields. Wind energy is the energy obtained from wind. Using wind turbines, transform the kinetic force of the wind into electricity. Geothermal energy is produced by the heat coming from inside the earth. This heat can be used for the generation of electricity or to heat the house and buildings. Geothermal energy is a form of usable energy that comes from the heat present in the deeper layers of the Earth's crust. In fact, penetrating into the Earth's surface, the temperature gradually becomes higher. These arguments can be considered today of vital importance, since they concern the world's dependence on electricity.